welcome to Frankly Speaking. And joining me today is Union Urban Development and Civil Aviation Minister Mr. Hardeep Singh Puri, who's fresh and smiling from a big victory in the courts today after the Delhi High Court has given once again another thumbs up to the Central Vista project. I want to ask you, Mr. Hardeep Puri, welcome to Frankly Speaking, and I want to ask you very frankly, how much of this was an investment of the government emotionally, given the fact that many people have questioned your priorities, saying that as far as the second wave of COVID is concerned, this government is now got its biggest obsession, which is the Central Vista. Now with the High Court verdict coming out and the verdict which is favorable to you, Mr. Hardeep Puri, do you feel vindicated?
Madam, thank you very much for having me on your program. Let me start by saying that you are using words which I don't necessarily subscribe to. You use the word victory. I would rather use the word relief. Let me explain. Those who are calling this a vanity project, those who are talking about large-scale expenditure are missing the very fundamental difference between Central Vista Avenue, which is a small 400 crore project, and the new parliament. These are the two only components which we are dealing with. And the overall Central Vista project, which includes 10 government buildings, which will house 51 ministries and departments of the government, new conference facility, new residence for the Vice President, new Indira Gandhi National Center for Performing Arts, and a Prime Minister's house. They're mixing up things in a completely haywire manner. Why are they doing it? I submit to you with a full sense of responsibility that this is motivated criticism. There is no relationship of a binary nature between expenditure on the health sector and this project. First of all, this figure of 20,000 crores which is being bandied about. Where is this coming from? The total project has to be done over a 4 or 5 year period. I am submitting to you that the only expenditure sanctioned so far is on these two components, which is 477 crores to be exact for the Central Vista Avenue, which is the widening of the Rajpath and other facilities, and 862 crores for the new parliament. Is this a new project? The Congress party in 2012, its then speaker, my colleague in the Foreign Service, Meera Kumarji, had already decided we need a new parliament. This is 2012. One of the high decibel producers, Mr. Jairam Ramesh, had written an article in 2012 in a paper in the south in Chennai, I think the Hindu, saying that we need a new parliament. This one is dysfunctional. Now, my question, a counter question, if you may allow, work on the parliament should have been done before 2012. It was evident to anyone that this building, conceptualized 100 years ago, was never intended to be the parliament bicameral legislature of an independent country. It was the imperial assembly of a colonial power. We need more people. In 2026, we are going to have the strength of the Lok Sabha going up from the current 540 plus to 750. Where are you going to seat the people? Secondly, and this is very important, Parliament building was earlier in seismic zone 2, today is in seismic zone 4. God forbid, if there is a tremor beyond a particular point on the Richter scale, you will have the building coming down. So this cannot be subjected to a facelift. You need a new parliament. So to me, as the High Court has said, and I'm greatly relieved, that this is a project of national importance. And it has nothing to do with vanity. This young aspiring leader of a political party that between 2014 and 19 didn't get 100 seats together, talked about a Modi Mahal for 13,400 crores. His grandfather lived in the Teen Murti, which has been converted into a museum. Not his great-grandfather. His grandmother lived in a place which is a memorial. His mother lives in another place. Right? We want an institutional place where the elected prime minister of a country, democratically elected, will stay during the course of his or her tenure. Now somebody says it's going to be a grand vanity project. They call it
Mr.
Modi
Mr.
Man.
Hardeep Puri, Mr. Hardeep Puri, allow me to come in. Allow me to come in. You politicians are so fond of
Glad
rally
you got your
addresses that
question.
you
No,
sometimes
I'm
forget that
a politician. Because
that an interviewee needs to ask a few questions. Allow me to ask, Mr. Hardeep Puri, humor me, allow me to ask. Many people who supported the Central Vista project, because we've been through these arguments last year as well when the Supreme Court was hearing this matter. The point many people have made, and these are people who quintessentially are called bhakts or supporters of the Modi Sarkar, they have come out and said that, you know, the timing of pushing through this project, especially when the second wave is at its peak, seemed a bit insensitive. And of course, even in the Delhi High Court today, the government of India has argued that this PIL is a facade, and similar attempts have been made in the past since the inception of the project. But people who are questioning, and there is a backlash on this project, are questioning under what description will you call this an essential service, especially when it is timed to the second wave of COVID, which I'm sorry to say hasn't been the best handling as far as the government is concerned, to put it very, very mildly, and to say that a human price has been paid by virtually every family in this country,
Not
which is
asking
why
a
the
question.
insensitivity quotient is being questioned.
Madam Navika, as you keep saying my name twice, when we say Madam Navika, you're not asking a question, you're making a statement. So let me break your statement down into three parts and let me give you an answer. Point one, I completely reject your statement about the handling of the second wave. You can have a separate, frankly speaking, on that. I think you guys in the press have got away with a lot of stuff. And I'd be very happy to counter it in a robust manner, both in terms of oxygen, availability of beds, and the vaccine. Vaccine is not something that you go and buy off the shelf. Somebody has to produce it. Somebody has intellectual property on it. There has to be commercial licensing. Within August and December, we will have another 213 crores. Every Indian will be vaccinated. And those who are making this critical noises, you know, हमारे मोदी जी हमारे बच्चों की वैक्सीन कहाँ है? अरे अपनी जो सरकार है राजस्थान, उसके कूड़ादान में देखो, कुछ जो आप वैक्सीन वहां पे वेस्ट कर रहे हो वो मिल जाएगी. Let me come back to the fundamental 2 points your statement has raised. First point, both these segments, new parliament, because you need it because of the seismic zone 4 argument, and you need it because we will be celebrating the 75th anniversary as an independent country in the year of the Lord 2022. You need a new parliament. This was started before, it was conceptualized before, it was approved in 2012. So what did you want? You wanted us to stop it? All those guys who are making this noise are anti-development. As on the case of vaccine, first they were saying, vaccine, mat karo, vaccine hesitancy, the fuel. The 2 Indian companies are no good. Bharat Biotech has got, the clinical trials are not over. Serum is not good. Whose interest were they serving? I'm not making a point, but I get the feeling sometimes they're serving some other commercial interest. And when the wave comes place, Prime Minister in a meeting with all CMs of states and union territories said on 16th March, second wave is coming, take the action. Health is in the state list, all right? Yet the central government backed them up. Similarly, this project, if we had stopped the work, what would have happened? These 1,600 people working in these 2 components would have become migrant evacuees. Migrant workers would have gone because the contractor is not going to pay them. The conventional wisdom is you try and keep economic activity going and you make sure that people earn and in prescribed bubble. We have taken precautions there for RT-PCR tests, social distancing. In the people working on the parliament building, out of 1,300, 900 have been vaccinated. So I'm absolutely clear this has got nothing to do with misplaced priorities. Yes, if 20,000 crores and there's been upheaval, these are 2 small projects, one not so small parliament, one Central Vista Avenue. Then there is no binary between the expenditure. The government has set aside 35,000 crores of rupees for vaccine. My senior colleague, the Honorable Finance Minister, You probably get her on one of your shows. Ask her. She will tell you, we need more money for vaccine. We are ready to supply it. PM CARES has made provision for 2,000 crores on ventilators alone. And those who are crying horse on this are creating unnecessary controversy. You tell me on oxygen, on beds. I can tell you what we have done individually. They've come whenever there is a crisis, Madam Navika, I can tell you whenever there's a crisis, you should realize it is the virus which is the enemy. This is a once in a century crisis and we should all work together. The Congress party, on the other hand, many of us leaders, they want to call a particular strain by a particular name. They are celebrating. Anything seems to be going wrong, Congress party wants to celebrate. You know, they are electorally, they've been wiped out in Kerala. They've been wiped out in West Bengal. I wish them the best of luck. You know, it's a pity from our point of view because every government, especially one with a strong majority, leads a healthy opposition. But these guys are fragmenting. They can't make up their mind. They produce false narratives and then they get caught. I want to be careful about my language. They've scored a self-goal. So I'll put it milder. On Central Vista, there is no perception problem.
What were you going to say?
The problem. I was hesitant to speak before the judgment because, you know, if I as a minister say something, you say you are trying to influence the court. I did not give a single interview till the Delhi High Court judgment came up. When we had the Parliament issue, Central Vista issue, disposed of by the Supreme Court on 21st January 2021. I don't remember the exact date, in January 2021. After that, we thought things were normal. But they turned around and when they can't get something, they will create a false narrative on vaccines. They will create a false narrative on Central Vista. And the toolkit that they provide, the toolkit on Central Vista, they have not even said it's false. They've owned up to it. One of the points in that toolkit which they produced on Central Vista is file a case in the Delhi High Court. They've done it. We've now got the result. So I don't regard this as victory. In all humility, Madam Navika, let me submit to you. I think it is a reassurance that we are on the right path. And if we have to tweak it, if there is any future vulnerability on account of the virus, we will do it. But we are not going to stop our mandated economic activity just because some guys out there are producing a false narrative.
Well, I want to ask you that the repeated arguments and PILs in Supreme Court and then the Delhi High Court show that, and you're making the charge that it is because of a false propaganda. What is the Congress's benefit out of this false propaganda? Because either you think that Rahul Gandhi is doing this false propaganda and it will help him electorally. Then you yourself dismiss it by saying it isn't helping them electorally. And then if Jairam Ramesh goes hammer and tongs at your Central Vista plan, he may have spoken about the Parliament building, but that didn't really include all the other office buildings and the digging up of the Rajpath. So are you actually reading selectively? Are you trying to pick these criticisms selectively, Mr. Hardeep Singh Puri?
No, Madam Navika, I'm doing it comprehensively. Let me start by telling you one basic fact, that the Supreme Court dismissed the petition in one go. They collected them. So there's no question of going back. So Supreme Court gave us a judgment. We read the judgment. The only limited issue after that was the issue of stoppage of work during the pandemic, which was the issue before the Delhi High Court. Today, we've received the judgment. As I said, in all humility, it's a relief. It's not a victory of any sort. Insofar as the Congress party is concerned, why new building? Because we are spending 1,000 crores of hard-earned taxpayers' money on paying rentals when we are the government is the owner of the land. Now, this is not a project to be completed by 2022. Some of this work will take place later. I read a hilarious story. Because of Central Vista, some of the roads will have to be expanded when? Between 2026 and 2039. God knows what all we'll have to do by 2039. Just now, we have a defined set of components in the project. We have only attempted the first two. The third one is still work in the pipeline. The total expenditure on that is not even a drop in the ocean. And if they are so worried about money, let them stop the MLA's hostel in Mumbai, which costs 900 crores. I don't want to get into these binaries. There's no relationship between these two components and the health expenditure. If there's any shortage of money on the health front, let me know. Even in a private capacity, I'll help them raise it. What is the Congress party getting out of it? I have no clue. You should seriously interview Mr. Rahul Gandhi on Frankly Speaking and ask him this question. Ask him, what is your plan for today? What is your plan in the short term, medium term, and the long term? If you get a coherent answer from him, not on the channel, I will privately tell you what you'll get from me. If you can get a coherent answer. Because what he does is, he says something here, then scoops. Modi Mahal ban raha hai, 13,400 करोड़. अरे 13,400 करोड़ तो सारे प्रोजेक्ट का शायद खर्चा नहीं होगा. मोदी जी, हमारे बच्चों की वैक्सीन कहाँ है? अरे भाई, तुम्हारे बच्चे जो वैक्सीन करवाना चाहते हैं और कराएंगे, उनके लिए बहुत वैक्सीन है. और दुनिया भर में पता नहीं होगी नहीं, भारत में हर एक नागरिक को वैक्सीनेट किया जाएगा. Beyond that, why is the narrative being created? Well, look, if you failed in the Supreme Court, you failed in the High Court. I don't think the High Court and Supreme Court will entertain this. But the social activists will come on us. Yeah, I must confess, I was a little constrained in the absence of the High Court judgment. But now I have issued on another channel, which is not such a detailed interview as yours, because your grilling is more comprehensive. I also made the offer that anybody wants to have a discussion with me, I can provide them the details, I can listen to their doubts, and I can try and help them. But if anybody thinks that democratic processes and avenues open will be utilized to stop a legitimate government project, my answer to them is that these are people with whose intentions are anti-development, and they are trying to espouse a narrative both on vaccine, on every issue, frankly on every issue. You know, the Congress party, UPA, when it was in power, they ordered some aircraft for VVIP movement. They ordered it. When the planes came, we were supposed to, अरे इतना पैसा खर्च कर, अरे तुमने किया था भैया, तुम्हारा अगर हम वो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट रोक देते तो पेनल्टी लगनी थी. रफाल पे शुरू हो गए. So ये कहाँ जाते हैं? You see, I have been a senior civil servant in that period. My lips are so far sealed, but there was a culture of impunity at that point of time. The less we talk about it, the better for them. If we start pointing out what all they did, now their problem is they don't have a substantive issue, so they have piled on to Central Vista because a think tank of theirs has given them some masala, and they're not even denying it. The other toolkit they said was not theirs. But on the Central Vista, I think they've admitted to the fact that they produced those lines. One of the points there, Madam Navika, was that you should file a case in the Delhi High Court. They've done it, and today we have the result.
Mr. Hardeep Puri, I want to pick up on the point that you just made in virtually obtusely at this point, saying that you were a senior civil servant when the UPA government was there. Tell us at least one story. I think restraining period for making any of these comments public is now over, even for you as a former civil servant. What is it that they did with impunity on which you haven't spoken till date? Please give the viewers a glimpse.
I don't have to tell you that entire vocabulary is out there in the public domain. 2G, CWC, don't make me say all those things. I was a witness to the fact that, I was PR in New York when I was hosting the highly respectable Prime Minister of the day then, and I was sitting with him in the hotel room when he got news that the young leader took up an ordinance. An ordinance is a act passed by the government, and in a press conference he tore it up. Look, don't make me comment on those things. Some of these people are criticizing the Central Avenue, Central Vista, and other things. People, I was a civil servant when they were ministers. I have hosted them outside. I should not start mentioning things there. There are some things which, there is a limitation on decency. But when you attack a government without any rhyme or reason, people will slowly, the stories will come to haunt you. Slowly, stories will come to haunt you. All I'm saying is, on Central Vista, brothers and sisters, Madam Navika, tell them that through your channel, you've dialed a wrong number. There is a completely legitimate, open, transparent book on the Central Vista. As we go along, all the details will be made, all the clearances have been held. Somebody said, this thing has been done on the stealth. Stakeholder consult. अरे भाई, stakeholder consultation parliamentarians के साथ भी हुआ है, civil society के साथ भी हुआ है. Now, the purpose of consultation is not we have a discussion, then you have to agree to one. One guy has gone and written a major newspaper article on expressing concern on some of the cultural aspects. I discovered he's the same man who wanted a job in the government and said, you employ me here. Now people are settling personal scores. I have 60 of my former colleagues who signed a letter, and I read the letter only today. I fault myself for that. 60 eminent people who say, if the story is to be believed, if you've been cabinet secretary to the government and foreign secretary, you don't sign a letter saying, if the story is to be believed, there is a superstition that the current parliament is not lucky. That's why they are hurrying into it. Where is all this BS coming from? Or some tantric has said, this Awas is not lucky. Are we grown up, mature people? Are we looking at the history of a project? Or are we weaving false narrative around it? This morning I woke up to saying, work on a particular segment of Central Vista starting in August. I was amused because I hadn't seen even the presentation.
You're talking about the Modi Mahal or the future Prime Minister residence. Is that what you're speaking about now?
Yes, madam, I am. You see, it's like this. Pappu, our beloved young leader, who is affectionately called that, says Modi Mahal ban raha hai. A lot of people then take that up as a narrative, and one newspaper puts it on the front pages of its newspaper, work starting in August. Now, if the design has not come to us, let alone not come to us, we've not considered it. After the design has been finalized, drawings have to be made, then it will be tendered. We are already today on 31st May. How will it start in August? So I just put a very mild slamming there. Amused. I think I said it's amusing how even mainstream media can do these things. That's all.
I want to ask you specifically that you said that work on the Prime Minister's residence, which may be this Prime Minister's today and in the future maybe some other Prime Minister's residence. But it is part of the first phase of the Central Vista. When will it begin? When do you think this particular part of the project will be undertaken, Mr. Puri?
Madam, I've already told you that the first phase we have taken up these two projects which we are implementing, point one. In the next phase, we have to take up 3 of those buildings out of the 10 in the phase. Which phase this will come in? We have not even applied our minds to it. Now the shifting, let me give another example. The shifting to North Block and South Block will take place when all those 10 buildings are ready, not likely to take place for the next 4 years. When the Prime Minister's house, when we see the design, etc. Just now what has happened is, there were 90 acres of prime land, which was occupied by Second World War Hutmans. We have just made arrangements to shift those. Then we will look at the design. We will tell you, I'll be the first to come on your show to tell you, this is how it's planned, this is what the design will look like, this is when it is likely to happen. This now, our beloved young leader says, 13,014 crore ka ban raha hai. Modi Mahal, 13,400 crore, 13,400 crore, maybe just the cost of the entire expenditure on the entire project. And then somebody lied, work on this is starting. Now, they have made a link between a proposal which we have not received and a total expenditure. This is the level of irresponsible discourse which we have in the public domain taking place.
Mr. Puri, do you think when the initial part of the second wave began and there were people like the Congress party, Mr. Rahul Gandhi, who came in and who said PM's ego is bigger than people's lives, Yashwant Sinha, who came and said people are dying of COVID, but Prime Minister's priority is the Central Vista costing thousands of crores. Is he mad? All kinds of statements. And Mahua Moitra of the Trinamool Congress came out and said Article 370 enforced revocation happened overnight and Central Vista should be finished on time, but they cannot supply 900 million metric tons of oxygen daily to our capital. There was a targeted, you can call it shelling of the central government. Do you think this was because your defenses were down after the defeat in the West Bengal elections?
That it was targeted shelling of the central government and its democratically elected government, I have no doubt. There was shelling, and much of this shelling was completely unwarranted, and it may be on account of a lot of factors. Insofar as the specifics are concerned, let me just again make it absolutely clear. All the criticism, you tabulate when a person made the statement and what is the statement, and I'll give you the answer. But the fact remains that we met the oxygen crisis, both in the central capital, Delhi, where it transpires that even when we were supplying oxygen, the elected government of the Union Territory was telling the supplier, "Abhi mat bhejo, hamare paas storage capacity nahi hai." I can give you hundreds of these examples. But what is far more important is that at no stage in this process did we say that expenditure earmarked for health, for vaccine, is going to be diverted to the Central Vista. And the Central Vista, I keep telling you, is only an expenditure of 1,300 crores till December of 2022. The Central Vista Avenue has to be completed by end of this year for the January 26th parade, and the Parliament building for the winter session. All the rest that they are saying is motivated. And let me tell you, I keep repeating this, the virus here is the enemy. The enemy is the virus. This is a once in a century challenge. You know, I was ambassador in Geneva and New York. I've dealt with the WHO, SARS, H1N1 swine flu, Ebola. SARS had a mortality rate of 17%. COVID-19 is much less. But this epidemic or pandemic looks like the Spanish flu, which took place in 1918, more than 100 years ago. So at this time, people should rally around the government. Now, these eminent people you named, Shri Yashwant Sinha, I don't want to make a comment. He used to be my foreign minister. What he says, under what circumstances he says that, I think he's formally joined the Trinamool Congress. This lady MP you named, I don't again want to make a comment on what she says. All I can tell you is as the situation normalizes. Now, it normalizes is a very important term. Today, the caseload is come down to new fresh cases, 1.5 lakh. The same people who are crying hoarse on oxygen nahi hai, beds nahi hai, vaccine, they're all stopping. Now, slowly it comes. They will find something else. If they want to choose to concentrate and focus on the Central Vista, my response to them, be my guest, because you will be scoring a self-goal. That house will be built, that Awas will be built for whoever is the Prime Minister of the day. The new Parliament will house whoever is the elected member of the Lok Sabha, whether Ms. Moitra or any member of the Rajya Sabha, and they will then thank the government for having done something which a Congress government should have done by its own reckoning in 2012.
Mr. Hardeep Puri, since you take court verdicts extremely seriously as far as the Central Vista is concerned, I hope you will take the court's questions today on the vaccine policy equally seriously. Today, the court has said, why is the vaccination policy, taking so long? Why is there not a centralized vaccination policy? There are different states you have left on their own schemes to find out their own procurement policy. But many of these states have tried to approach countries abroad, and those countries have said they will only deal with the sovereign government of India. I want to ask you, Mr. Hardeep Puri, why are we standing on ceremony? Why are we standing on politics? Because I can't believe that a man who leads your government, the Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, doesn't know these facts. That he's not aware of the facts that unless he steps into it and unless the government steps into it, vaccination for all by December will only be a pipe dream. Why are we still not announcing a central procurement policy? Because that stands between every single Indian being vaccinated and the politics that is going on in between.
Let me tell you straight away that as far as I am concerned, there's no issue of ceremony or politics. Number two, the specifics on vaccination policy, perhaps you've got the wrong minister here, but since I'm a member of the GOM, I'll try and answer that. Look, let's look at the history of this issue. The history of this issue is that it is a central government which placed advance orders on the two domestic manufacturers, Bharat Biotech and Serum Institute. At a time when the Congress party was saying, Bharat Biotech ko aapne clearance kyun di hai? Abhi to they have not even completed their clinical trials. So, one, they were fueling vaccine hesitancy. Two, they're running down the domestic manufacturers. Same people who, when they were in power, dismantled the public sector vaccine manufacturing capacity. Now, when we have done that, these people who were fueling the hesitancy suddenly have changed and said, vaccinate everybody, vaccinate everybody. When the central government was procuring the vaccine, they said, why is the central government doing? Let the states do it. Let us do it. Now, we don't have that much time on this, but let me tell you, all these state governments which have tried to procure the vaccine, when they floated the tender, I think they've got responses from middlemen. Why did they get from middlemen? Ask them. If you go to the original manufacturer, vaccine, please familiarize yourself with how a vaccine is produced. There's an intellectual property protection on it. People have spent billions of dollars of research. Even if somebody gives you the formula, you have to have the capacity to produce the vaccine and make it available. The government has done exemplary work, both on oxygen, on other essential drugs like remdesivir, and again on vaccine. I am saying on your program that between August and December of 2021, 213 additional vials will be available for the whole population of the country. Those who are in the entitled age category can be vaccinated. Now, it's not for me to answer what the Supreme Court has said, but I'm sure if you were to have a similar conversation with my colleagues who deal with the health portfolio or with the pharma portfolio, they'll provide you that. I have personally shared with distinguished colleagues like yourself, Madam Navika, what the production schedule is. We have already vaccinated over 20 crore of our...
You are talking about... Mr. Hardeep Puri, okay, allow me to come in. You have been a civil servant and therefore you have a general understanding even if you are not the pharma minister or the health minister. And therefore I ask you as a member of the cabinet, as a member of the GOM and as an aware citizen if nothing else. I want to ask you the maximum price this country has paid in terms of human lives has been in the months of April, May, June and July. That is the period we are talking about. And you're saying vaccinations will come in August. I want to ask you, forget the Congress party, forget the Samajwadi party which called this a BJP vaccine. I want to ask you, what was our plan in this interim, even if the second wave had not taken place? The fact is, should we have looked at Covaxin and Covishield giving emergency use licenses to other companies to start manufacturing more in India? What about Pfizer, Moderna and negotiations with them? What about Johnson & Johnson? The fact is, we are seen today as a reactive government rather than us being a proactive government and having thought this through right from the beginning when these vaccines began to hit the commercial scene in November, December last year.
Let me tell you, it's your show and you can give as long a statement as you like, but out of sheer respect for you, let me tell you two things. But first, a preambular comment. This government and the Prime Minister in particular has been hands-on. He's led up front from March 16th. This year, he has been telling the state governments, and we've issued a press release by the PIB after that. Second wave is coming, get ready. Incidentally, health is a state subject, yet the Prime Minister has gone out of his way on all these issues, oxygen, essential medicine, and vaccine. You said the maximum lives have been lost in May, June and July. We have still not entered June and July. How could maximum lives have been lost in a period where we haven't come? When this happened, we ramped up production. We encouraged companies who are the patent holders to enter into commercial licensing agreements with the concerned companies to increase. I have the figures for the month of May, for the month of June, July. We paid advance money to Bharat Biotech and Serum Institute to produce extra vaccines. They have ramped up. The other producers are also doing it. So, look, there may have been a time when everyone thought that we were only going to vaccinate, frontline workers, healthcare workers, those who were in the front line of the fight against the pandemic. Then we decided to do senior citizens. And finally, we expanded it. And we have, in the process, also made sure that the vaccine availability will be there. In the month of June, we are going to get 12 crore vaccines. When we started this whole thing and everybody started making this sound and fury, we had to point out that the states were at that stage still holding 1 crore vaccine, which they were utilizing. But some of our state governments, including my friend who's the Chief Minister of Delhi, they excel in this. They will not do anything themselves. They will turn around and say, we have run short of vaccine, we have done this, we've done. What are the efforts that you have made? If there is a formula 50, 25, 25, what did you do? Anyway, let me tell you, the central government will make available 12 crore vaccines in June. This is over and above the 12 crore, the 20 crore who have already been vaccinated. Our original plan was that by the month of June end, we will vaccinate 30 crore people, which means we'll have 60 crore this thing, because going by the 2 per person. But we've suddenly ramped it up. Now, compulsory licensing is something our opponents said, how will that help if you don't have the BSL-3 labs which are required, even if you enforce a company license? So in a cooperative way, we've reached out, and I take strong exception to anyone who suggests that there is either somebody has taken the eye off the ball or that we have not been in charge. Yes, I keep telling you, it is the virus which is the enemy. This is a once-in-a-lifetime challenge, and it would be nice for those people you named, including those eminent people, if they were to understand where we have come from in the fight from the first wave to where we have reached, and they will also then reluctantly show some gratitude, if not admiration, for what the Prime Minister and his team have done.
Mr. Puri, may I tell you that this country is not only consisting of, political parties. This country also consists of citizens, and citizens also want answers. And today the Supreme Court, which has upheld your Central Vista and has applied damages on the person who's filed the PIL, has also, in another case, Justice Chandrachud has asked the government to wake up and smell the coffee. Will you take the bricks and the bats along with the bouquets? You call me a civil servant or you call me in public life, whatever it is. I'm firmly anchored in the rule of law. Whatever the Honorable Court says, we take with total humility. You use the word damages. I think it's more a punitive fine for the kind of irresponsible conduct that the petitioners have shown. There were projects going on throughout Delhi, including under my ministry. There's this big ITPO project. But the petitioner has no interest in the ITPO project. Why? Because the ITPO project probably is outside his range. And because he thinks it's a vanity project, it's not an essential project, he focuses. So I'm very happy that the learned High Court has said that this is not a public interest, this is a motivated thing, and a punitive fine has been. Insofar as what the Honorable Supreme Court has said, by all means, they said something earlier about oxygen, we take that, we respect the, that essential part of our democratic functioning. And I'm sure that the concerned minister or the concerned departments, they welcome the kind of contribution and guidance provided by the Honorable Court, and they will respond. But this is an ongoing interactive process. As far as the people of India are concerned, this is what a democracy is all about. It is through the people and their will that governments get elected. And believe me, that's the highest priority. So during this period, I got hundreds of calls. I tried to respond to each one of them. I even got trolled in the process in one or two because I don't distinguish or discriminate between whether the person asking for assistance is a friend or not friendly or, whatever you want to discover. So let me assure you, we value the views of the press. We value the contributions and guidance of the honorable courts.
And it's a process where all of India has to get together in order to meet the enormity and the seriousness of the challenge. And I'm very confident that we are on top of it. And as I said, the figure had gone up to 420,000 cases every day. It's down to 150,000. I'm sure it'll come below 1 lakh. And then you and I will probably have a different kind of discussion.
Mr. Puri, I want to ask you, at a time when this country is dealing with a unprecedented health crisis and the COVID crisis, petrol prices seem to be going up virtually every single day. Today, it's almost ironical that 100 rupees a litre in some places is the price of petrol. Are you now going to do the same, Xerox copy as far as airfares are concerned? Already we are seeing the lowest slab being shifted upwards. Are we now going to see a spiraling price rise in airfares as well?
Madam, let me reassure you, you're seeing no spiraling thing on airfares. In the operation of an aircraft, 35% plus comes from the cost of what is called aviation turbine fuel. The 35% of component is that. Because airlines are under stress, because airport operators are under stress, all we have done is the lower band to be raised by 10, 12% or 13%, not the higher band. So there is going to be no impact whatsoever. And we have also done something else. Yesterday, the Honorable Finance Minister, a credit facility for people up to 200 crores, 40% of what they was their debt at a certain period. I think it's 2020 is the thing. They can borrow money. So we will take these measures. But I'm going to share with you something. When we closed the economy in 2020, on 25th March, we stopped all civil aviation. We reopened on 25th May, and we had 30,000 passengers in a day. Before the second wave hit, we were doing as much as 313,000 passengers in a day. But I was hoping that if the second wave hadn't come, we would have hit pre-COVID levels and we would have dismantled the price band, both the lower and the higher. But the second wave came. So all that we've done just now is not raise the upper fare. We have only raised the lower fare. So if the fare between, let's say, Delhi and Mumbai, hypothetically, lower part is 2,300, we made it 2,600 or something like that. So 12, 13% increase. My expectation is today, day before yesterday, the fare come down to 44,000 passengers in a day. Today, it's already about 79,000. As Delhi lifts restriction, as Mumbai lifts restriction, we will come back and the price band as we go along will be totally unnecessary.
Mr. Puri, there is a positive news that's coming in even on the GDP front. The last quarter of 2021 has ended on a positive note and forecast looking up, and it is commendable that we've seen even in these COVID times some ray of hope and some rainbow at the end of a very, very dark tunnel. Do you think we'll be able to maintain the GDP sentiment? We are already seeing stock markets showing the positive sentiment. Do you think we will be able to maintain this even in the core sector, which has shown a very sharp increase in growth rates?
Well, I'm confident that this will happen. Last time, when we were in the first wave, people cited the first quarter of last year to show a 23% contraction. And I was pointing out even then that was immediately after the lockdown of the economy in May and June and July. After that, there was a recovery. But, I've been pointing out on social media the GST collection. And the GST collections were showing reasonable growth. And I was very encouraged by that. I've looked at the inward incoming investment, foreign direct investment. I've looked at exports, especially pharma sector. Look, I'm an eternal optimist. I'm sure as soon as we see the overall figure coming down from 1.5 lakhs, new figures to 1 lakh and less 50,000, etc., the economy is raring to go. So you will see another. Don't go by these doomsday scenario with former finance ministers who are more columnists now, because they want to play up the negative part. But I think the positive sentiment is there. There is a great sense of confidence that the handling of the second wave, you suddenly get a change in that sentiment, and economic recovery will take place. That is the point at which we should be having discussion on the way forward. I can point out to you the IMF forecast for India in the coming fiscal, the studies done by UN agencies like the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. But I won't bore. Everyone says that India is well positioned to recover and recover with a degree of confidence and robustness.
Mr. Puri, before I let you go, I want to ask you just one question. It's been a mixed bag. While we are seeing good news on the economy front, there has been criticism of the government in the handling of the second wave. How do you see the big picture, as many people would like to look at? Where do you see India and where do you see your own government? Has a little bit of the sheen come off even at a time when you're celebrating 7 years of the Modi Sarkar?
First of all, we are not celebrating, within quotes, 7 years of the Modi Sarkar. I have not had time because of the court judgment, but I will be putting out what we have done in the 7 years of the Modi government insofar as the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs is concerned, and insofar as civil aviation is concerned, for which I have independent responsibility. 1 crore 12 lakh was a target for Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Urban, 1 crore 11 lakhs done. We have got major schemes, we have got major achievements to show. So we will put those facts out, not in a celebratory thing, but in a dissemination of hard facts mode. Second issue, look, please regard this as a global pandemic. Different countries have the capacity to react to it, given their own resource base. The United States is a $20 trillion economy. They can do something. China, less said the better, $12 trillion economy. They have resources. We were a $2.89 trillion economy prior to COVID. We will grow. In 2024-25, we will be $5 trillion economy. How will we be a $5 trillion economy? By getting our production processes going, our health sector, our pharma sector, our other economic processes. We will have to learn not to be dependent on supply chains in a narrow way, because if things go wrong globally, we must have diversified supply. I think no matter which way you look at it, the economy is poised to grow. We have a confident leadership which has a clear roadmap. And I don't know what sheen is. Is this something like, where you occasionally shine it? No. The facts will speak for themselves. Before 2019, I'm on record to have told you that if you look at the total number of beneficiaries of the programmatic intervention, it comes to 22 crores. That's the number of votes we get. Just now, we are in a pandemic. We are slowly coming out of it. I don't want to make predictions, but if we have the same conversation 3 months from now, I will give you my projections, and which I'm giving you today, of confidence, of economic revival, and a sense of reassurance to all those. Look, a pandemic as severe as this, one death is one death too many. Let me be very clear. But the pandemic is the enemy, not the government. Let's try and understand why a certain thing happened. And I'm sure we will be, not only we handle the first wave well, we will complete our management of the second wave. And God forbid, if we have to face future crises, we will be better equipped, even better equipped to deal with them.
Well, on that optimistic note, thank you very much for joining me on Frankly Speaking, Mr. Hardeep Singh Puri. Always a pleasure speaking with you, and always a pleasure to rib you to get the best out of you. Thank you.
Madam Navika, it has been my privilege now, as always, and I always come with the equivalent of what, people who go into battle, they wear bulletproof vests. So, but sometimes I think that you grill your interlocutors with great severity. That's your job as a journalist. But please remember that we are all in this fight together, and that the government means well, and the Prime Minister is led by personal example. That's why today people are not talking about oxygen, and the real facts are coming out. About the essential drugs, we were not manufacturing. Some of those cases were not taking place. We will now be manufacturing, importing. And let me assure you, vaccine 100% by the end of December, every Indian will be vaccinated. Thank you.
Thank you, and see you again on Frankly Speaking.